The favorites, we here for the latest. South side or the north side, not tuned to the greatest. Home team for the home teams. Both sides got our own rings. On the mound or the long ball, but we don't put the wrong strings. Yeah, it's that time of the year now. Wrigley or guarantees for the whole league that we here now. New show with a new mood. Discussions and interviews. Straight rumors that might be. This is Pinwheels and Knife. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Swaski, aka Southside Zoe, aka Father Zoe. And with me, as always, Mr. Aldo Soto.
Let me be the first to tell our viewers and listeners a happy new year 2 weeks later.
Thanks, Chris Berman. And the good Reverend K. Fidz.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Can. THC infused filter. No, just kidding. I am going to drink this though. So, but hey, happy New Year, everybody. Good to see you guys again, and I hope that everything is doing well for you guys out there as we hop into the latter months of January, when Major League Baseball has still not begun negotiations with the Players Union.
Still no baseball.
Yeah. Woo! So, as far as my audio is concerned, you're all just going to have to deal with it. My normal headset is being used, so I have to use these headphones here.
Those of you that are listening at home, by the way, Zoe is not in the trunk of our car. So if you were wondering.
Also, by the way, shout out to anyone who stuck through our last episode, because I'm pretty sure my audio was all the way fucked up.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I can do here. Let me try one more thing. You guys, Aldo or Fidz, start talking. I'll try something else.
All right. So obviously the big news, Kevin, since nothing's going on because the league is still trying to screw the players. Jon Lester, Cubs legend, Red Sox legend. We won't talk about his Cardinals days. Nationals legend retires from baseball. And obviously the big discussion whenever a great player retires, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? So Kevin, right away. I like to do the test. You just say a player's name and you say Hall of Fame, yes or no. So Kevin, Jon Lester, Hall of Fame.
Ooh, see, this is one.
Oh, that's a no then. If it's not a quick
yeah,
yes.
No. It's not even like this guy's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I've been this way even, the Swan Song season this year. I am torn, but it's the same kind of torn that I am when it comes to someone like, say, like a Jeff Kent, who I actually think should be in the Hall of Fame, or someone like a Billy Wagner, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. And so, Zoe's got my same screensaver. Fantastic. Rest in peace, Betty White.
Yes.
But for me, the arguments there, you could see it today. I will say this before we even delve into this, White Sox fans, you don't need to tear down Jon Lester to make Mark Burley look better. When you have to tear someone else down to make someone else look better, that only means that person doesn't have what it takes to make themselves stand on their own. So in that sense, I wouldn't tear down Mark Burley to compare Jon Lester. I'm just not 100% sure that Jon Lester nor Mark Burley are Hall of Fame material, but I wouldn't also be shocked if they were. I kind of fluctuate back and forth. I do look at postseason numbers. It's not Mark Burley's fault. The White Sox never, didn't have that kind of a large sample size that Lester was lucky to stumble into in the places that he played. But his postseason numbers are incredible. He's like, I think, the third or fourth best postseason pitcher in history. So these are things that you take into consideration as well. You look at the whole body of work, cancer survivor, et cetera, et cetera. This one is something I still have to keep marinating on. This is a tough one. It's one of those fringers where, again, it's like me. Do I vote for Sammy Sosa despite the corked bat and the steroids? I don't know. I fluctuate. Like I'm a flip flopper. So to say, I guess the long answer is maybe.
I think Lester's another perfect name of just having that discussion or having that long drawn out. Because I do agree with you. That was just a quick thing I used to do, and that's the point I was going to bring up. Is before we had the standards, it was if he has 300 wins, Hall of Famer, right? It was automatic. You had that benchmark. If a starting pitcher in his career had 300 wins, Hall of Famer, right? With the way the game has changed, the past 5 years, even the last decade, is the new benchmark? Is it just 200 wins? Because just because starters don't go as deep or there's so much of the bullpen play. Now it's like, hey, you can lead with the lead. You know, it can be 3-1. You're out in the 6th inning. You did a great job. And then, you know, 2 guys like blow it for you. And like that messes up. You know, you don't have guys going 8 innings, 9 innings every 5th day.
Right.
So in terms of like, and that's with Burley too, like he had like 214 wins. You know, Lester finished his career with at 200, right? I think right at 200. And again, there's always because I think when we talk about postseason in terms of Hall of Fame, we do the opposite of what we're going to do with Jon Lester. Because other times we go, well, hey, it's not so and so's fault that, you know, he was on bad teams. With Jon Lester, again, you know, he's fortunate that he was on a lot of great teams, got a lot of shine. But hey, when he had to step up in those big moments, he did. And when you think of this era, you know, last 15 years, you're good. I think
we're back. Yeah, we're live.
Oh, no, you're good.
Yeah,
Zoe's back.
Yep.
But when you do the test of like, you know, you think of like who do you want starting for you in the postseason, and you think of this past 15-year period, Jon Lester's like right at the top of your list.
You know, he's not on that list either. Which is again, body of work, but also the best left-hander of our lifetime is Clayton Kershaw.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he's the opposite. Where like
that's the reverse.
Yeah.
Although he did have his last 2 starts in the postseason, which were the 2 World Series games he carved in, doesn't erase the rest of his career where he's got an ERA that's 2 over his regular season average. But Jon Lester is kind of the opposite. Jon Lester has like a 4 ERA as a career. Of course, it kind of crapped it down his leg the last 3 years or so, kind of did a little damage to that career. ERA because he was still playing a little bit. But at least Burley knew when to step away. But Lester, on the other hand, he's got good regular season numbers, and then he's the guy that turns it up when it matters, and that does. But it's not the Hall of Fame for just, you know, you don't get it on just postseason. And he's thrown a no-hitter. He's a 5-time All-Star. He's an NLCS MVP. He's done some things. You know, he learned a pickoff move. He's a hell of a hitter, probably the best pitcher hitter in the history of the game, really.
So can you guys see the shared screen?
I can.
All right. So this is Burley Lester head-to-head. All right. Burley, more wins. Win is a terrible stat for a pitcher. Whatever. ERA, not too much difference. Complete games, Burley was an inning eater. Shutouts, Burley, but that's almost, you know, I don't know, what's that, like 500 more innings?
Yeah, I mean, like he's got like, looks like, was that 42 more starts?
But here, look at this. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, the ERA plus is the exact same.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Lester has the better FIP, the better HIP by very little bit.
Fractional.
Hit per 9. I mean, it's under 1. It's like
strikeouts
1.
Per 9. Is that 8.2 or 0?
Yeah, that's an 8.2. So he's got Burley by 3 more strikeouts per 9. So
just
that's
different.
He also has. Looks like he has what, 600 more strikeouts in.
But Burley was a ground ball pitcher.
That's true. But I'm saying, like, he does. I mean, the strikeouts are a number that people look at too sometimes.
But here's your WAR though. Burley was a 60 WAR, where Lester was a 44 WAR. But again,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, they played pretty much the same amount of time too, 15 years. So this is why
Burley gets started a lot more though. He had like 40
well, he's got 1,000 more innings pitched.
Yeah.
He's got how many more games? I mean, he's 48, 58, 60
games.
60
Burley had roughly like 60 to 70 more games than Lester. So, and I heard what you were saying earlier, dude, like about Sox fans. Like, Sox fans right now are very frustrated. They're very frustrated because Burley got 0 fucking love on the Hall of Fame ballots. And it was like almost like it was like a joke. Like, people are like, why the fuck would you vote for Mark Burley? You know what I mean? Like, people outside of the South Side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a shitty thing because Burley's had a pretty good career. But then on the flip side of things, Lester retires today, and national guys, people all over are like, Hall. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is Burley like a joke and Lester's some of these people are saying instant Hall? I mean, Lester, don't get me wrong, was like a way more charismatic, way more like I'm gonna stop sharing, way more like media friendly, way more like big stage. And the fact that he was on the Red Sox team that broke the curse, and he was on the Cubs team that broke the, and I'm saying curse with like the biggest air quotes ever, but or we'll just say ended the losing or the World Series drought for the Red Sox and the Cubs, the two biggest ones in the history of baseball, the two most talked about, the ones they make movies about. That gives him instant notoriety in a national media sense. So from a Sox fan point of view, Mark Burley is one of my top 5 all-time favorite White Sox. I was at the perfect game. I was at the game that he hit his only home run in Milwaukee. Like, the guy was half in the bag when he came out and got a save in the World Series. Like, he is the South Side. Like, he is like, I'm probably like Ken Wu or some asshole will probably say they didn't like Burley. But other than that, it's really hard to find someone that didn't like Mark Burley as a White Sox fan. And so
the White Sox fan, he's not the god, but he's a god.
Yeah, I mean, like, he is a legend on the South Side. Like, 100% he's a legend. Like, verified legend status on the South Side of Chicago.
Perfect game, no hitter, the World Series.
Perfect game, no hitter, World Series. The story about him pounding a couple beers and then coming out for the save in Houston, like the slip and slide on the tarp during rain delays. He was like a huge fan favorite, just super down to earth guy. You know, it's still like, it kills me, those pictures of him in a Marlins fucking uniform.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Jordan in a Wizards uniform, but it's like the same kind of flavor. You know what I mean? And so to what I'm getting at though, Fids, is like, that's where that came from today. It wasn't like an insecurity or anything. It was just knowledgeable White Sox fans like a P. Knowles and some of these other guys that are especially really big on stats see this national love that Lester gets on the retirement from the same people that like wouldn't even know who Mark Burley was if he was like crossing the street in front of their car. And yeah, Burley has 4 Gold Gloves. He's got the one play where he flips the ball between his legs while he's falling down to Konerko, and Lester couldn't even fucking throw to first.
He threw a glove to first once. He threw a glove to first once.
The video that people kept showing today that was awesome is when Tommy Pham just like stood where the second baseman stood, and like Lester looked at him once, and then he had to like think about it, and then finally he like.
Well, what made that clip? What made that clip even better is because it was from the Cardinals telecast, and it's Tim McCarver being like, "Yeah, like Jon Lester can't throw.
Never throws over.
Pham should get as big a lead as he can. He's not going to throw. I think he literally says like he's not going to throw a few times, and like right before the last time he says like he's not going to throw over. He throws over. Obviously, it's the easiest pickoff ever because like Tommy Pham's like he's not throwing over either. But so, I mean, you're completely right. Like the whole comparison between Burley and Lester. And like the angst that some White Sox fans got off, it's completely fair from that side. But then it goes back to what I brought up with Kevin, or what he brought up too, just the recency, not even the recency, but just like the big stage national moments. It's not Mark Burley's fault that his teams weren't in the postseason as often as Jon Lester's, and then when Jon Lester was on the big stage, he delivered more often than not. So. That is why unfortunately for like this comparison, that is why he does get the bigger set. Like think about another name I was looking at. Like I won't be referenced has the they have like the most similar pitchers to like both guys, whatever. I was looking over the list, and one of the guys on Lester's list I think is Verlander. Think of Justin Verlander. Everyone thinks right like he's going to be a Hall of Famer, right? And like compare Justin Verlander to Clayton Kershaw. What do we all say about Kershaw? Oh, Kershaw can't come through in the postseason. Justin Verlander has skated by his career. Justin Verlander has not been good at all in the postseason.
Right.
But for whatever reason, he doesn't get the reputation. And unfortunately for like some of these Hall of Fame candidacies, and like at this point, it's kind of I have to be honest with you. At this point, I don't care a lot about does the guy get in or not? Because like the process just seems like such a joke now, and like I kind of do like the whole like when they write like I forget who's the guy who keeps track of everyone's voting, and then like they write why or why not, but like it's just like too much of a spectacle now. It's like just vote if you think a guy's a Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer. I guess they are kind of restrained or like because there's like the 10-person limit. So like if you keep this guy in, you have to keep him waiting or whatever. But like I always say, like like, does a guy's stats change from one year to another? No. So, like,
Yeah.
Right.
and I think you brought it up too, Kevin. Like talking about, like, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Oh,
Is
God.
he, like a second ballot Hall of Fame? Like, just is he a Hall of Famer or not? Like, it's
Hall of Famer when he retires and he doesn't all of a sudden just add something to that.
it's like the stats don't change. Like, do you think he's a Hall of Famer or not? Like, come on.
And you brought up recency bias too, Aldo, and that's the big thing too. We live in a day and age, especially. I mean, look, Jon Lester made his debut in 2006 at age 22. Think about baseball in 2006 when he was just getting started and building, which in Boston, post Boston's first World Series, kind of a legacy. A guy that they drafted, that battled cancer, came back as a 22-year-old, went 7-2, was good in the World Series, yada yada yada. Was just a cult hero in Boston for being the dude that he is. Like, just same way in Chicago when he bought 50,000 gallons of beer or something like that. Did somebody say for Cub fans when he retired, or when he left the Cubs? But just the way that he was. We live in this media age, and we live in an era where marketing and optics and how a player is marketed can really sway how people view this person in the scope of their career. Like a Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter's story is well written, but the people that tell the story most are the media. They tell, the heroics and everything. And I'm not saying he's not a Hall of Famer or whatever, but I'm saying then you get to a place now. We live in a world where people think that Javi Baez is a first ballot Hall of Famer because the hype, not necessarily the performance, but it feels like to a lot of fans that these players are. And with Lester, the recency bias is there. He's so well liked. It's, and I'm not saying Burley isn't. Burley obviously is, but Lester in two giant fan bases has this reputation as being like the dude, and that helps his optics. And I think, of course, that spills into the national news media, who, of course, is Boston centric, with a lot of the people that come out of, Bristol, especially. And so his reputation, he buddied up with those guys while those guys were coming up, and those people were coming up in the media as well. So, of course, he's going to have this favorable. I think that all these people are happy to see a friend retire and honor a friend. And unfortunately, that filters into their objectivity. And so then, of course, it drives other people mad because, again, they have commiserate stats. I mean, if Jon Lester's a Hall of Famer, so is Mark Burley. And vice versa, I think, at the same time. I think, although a good solution to your problem with the balloting is maybe take off that 10-person cap and just say vote and go rank twice and just let it go. Yeah. If you've got 13 people you want to vote for, you think they're all Hall of Famer, fuck it, vote. You shouldn't have to play like, Survivor strategy or like that fucking Cracker Barrel game with the triangles just to figure out how to get the right people the right votes because you only have 10 to vote with. You got 10 T's. You got to make sure we get them, So maybe, that could be a solution to it too. But I think that it would have to be a package deal. I think if Lester's in, Burley's in. If Lester's not in, Burley's not in. Vice versa. If Burley doesn't get votes and it's not in, not in. But I think that the hype and the optics and that recency bias you talked about, Aldo, is a huge reason why you're seeing it on the national news media. Jon Lester is a darling. He's a media darling. He's a national and media darling, especially with those people at Baseball Network and in Bristol at ESPN. So,
and a bunch of major markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, again, he
by
did
the way,
in Boston and Chicago. Like, it's a big deal. Like,
loud fan bases.
Yes.
Loud.
By the way, if you were to ask me, like, Jon Lester Hall of Fame, I would be like, not quite. I think I'd say the same thing for Burley. For both of them. And like, that's the other thing where, like, we get to the point, it's like, by me saying that, I'm not shitting on either. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not saying these guys suck. I'm not saying they shouldn't get their, I think Burley already has his jersey retired, right, for the Sox? Or he should. I mean, he should. He will one day if he doesn't. I think he does, doesn't he?
I have no idea.
But he should. Like, they should be in their team's Hall of Fames, whatever you want. But like, for me, ever since like I started getting to baseball and just like looking back at like what does it mean to be a Hall of Fame, or like the guys who were in the Hall of Fame. Again, like right now, I don't really care that much, but like if I did and like get into a discussion about it, it'd be like it has to be the elite of the elite of that generation, like the top like 2 to 3 guys from this era. And if you just don't fall in that category, like hey, that doesn't mean you're bad, but that it's the Hall of Fame. So like for me, that just means something more.
It's exclusive. But you need to be and it can't be like you can't compare best players of all time either. You have to think it as generational. Who is the best player of their era? Because the game has changed and made so many different changes to how the game's played. In fact, I think that they're voting currently in an old world system, which is why relievers aren't getting the kind of props, especially in these ballots, they should. That's probably my biggest pet peeve with the Hall of Fame is that it's completely ignored the evolution of the game to the specialist. It's to this day. And how long has closers and relievers became a thing big time in the late 80s, early 90s, and now where they're at today, it's you've got guys for the sixth inning, for God's sakes. They're going to have to the best sixth inning pitcher of our era maybe is worthy of being a Hall of Famer at this point because it's part of the strategy of the game. Just like, there are guys that, best pinch hitter of all time. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Maybe not, but maybe some of their equipment should be because they're such a great pinch hitter or something. But that's another big part of it too. I don't know.
So the biggest thing looking into the player comps for Burley that stood out, Oral Hershiser's not in the Hall of Fame. That's wild to me.
See, that's the thing.
I don't know Oral Hershiser's stats, but like
a couple good seasons.
When you hear that name, you just think like, I don't know, maybe it's my age or whatever, but it's just like when I hear that name, I'm like stud. And so,
right? No, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
So I was surprised too. I seen that. Yeah.
Maybe so. How about this? How many games do you think, based on your perception, do you think Nolan Ryan won in his career?
That he won.
I mean, an Oral Hershiser.
Sorry,
Nolan did fag.
250.
Well, I'm going to say less now because he's not like 190.
Yeah.
204.
Okay.
He won 204 in a career that lasted how many seasons? 18 seasons.
But see, that's the thing. Different era. Because he pitched like what, 80s, 90s, right? 80s?
Late 70s.
56 and a third, or was it 59 and a third? 59 and a third?
I am quickly realizing I don't know shit about Oral Hershiser.
59 and a third. Dude, did I ever tell you my poker story?
Dude, I just typed in Oral and then HER.
Hey,
make sure you spell it right.
Oral herpes came up all over the place.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys, I spelled a different oral. And I got it.
But look, Oral Hershiser won a Cy Young, 3-time All-Star, 88 World Series, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, World Series MVP, ALS MVP, NLCS MVP, Major League Player of the Year. Like, he's got a really impressive resume. And
different era, though. Like for
and
him,
the record, and the record that he broke.
For him, though, he was in the era of you have to get to 300 wins.
Right.
So, but he just, I think that's the thing. Like the there are benchmarks. So, like, what is the benchmark for like guys who started pitching, like in the early 2000s and like retired?
Well, right. I mean,
we have to readjust how we judge them based on the way the game is played.
Baseball Reference has literal Hall of Fame statistics on players' pages. Mm-hmm. So I'm on Oral Hershiser's page right now. Black ink, his pitching it's a 20. The average Hall of Famer is a 40. Gray ink, his pitching is a 129. Average Hall of Famer is a 185. Hall of Fame monitor, his pitching is a 91. The likely Hall of Famer is 100. Hall of Fame standards, his pitching is a 34. The average Hall of Famer is a 50.
Yeah.
So like he's not there. Like,
so like that's why there's just no okay, but look up Lester's now. So let me look up Lester's. Hold on.
So while you're looking up Lester too, may I please tell you my nice Oral Hershiser poker story?
If you do it, yeah,
I'll do it fast. It'll be like it's like the interim. But
does it bother you guys that Jon Lester's Baseball Reference picture is him in a Cardinals hat?
No. I was annoyed that one of
probably gonna be a Red Sox hat.
I think it was ESPN Stats and Info had, and I get it because it was his last team that he pitched for, but like they showed him in a Red Sox and then a Cardinals uniform. Like, hey. He did something with the Cubs.
Dude, Lester's not even fucking... The only one Lester's close on is Hall of Fame monitor.
All right, go over him.
Black ink, he's an 8. Average Hall of Famer is a 40. Gray ink, he's a 148. Average Hall of Famer is a 185. Hall of Fame monitor, he's a 98. Likely Hall of Famer is 100. Hall of Fame standards, he's a 40. An average Hall of Famer is a 50.
Do Burley's too. Do Burley's.
All right. Hold on, let me get up there. Just not having multiple screens is killing me right now.
Downgraded.
I live such a tough life. Burley's Pictures has a White Sox hat on.
Did he also play for the Blue Jays? Or am I
making Burley, he played for the Blue Jays and the Marlins. Black ink, he's a 12. Average is a 40. Lester was an 8. Mm-hmm. Gray ink, he's a 116. Average is 185. Lester hasn't beat there. Hall of Fame monitor, Burley's only a 52, where Lester was a 98. And a likely Hall of Famer is 100. Hall of Fame standards, Burley's a 31, where Lester was a 49, and the average Hall of Famer was a 50. So neither of these two are.
They're not even close.
Yeah. So I mean.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Chicago, don't worry. It doesn't matter if you're a Sox fan or Cubs fan. You can be pissed off in a few years.
Hey guys, guess what? They're both going to be inducted into the Chicago Sports Hall of Fame.
There you go.
But see, the thing is, I mean, obviously, I didn't follow Jon Lester's career as closely as you guys did, but I know for a fact that like Burley just does not give a fuck about it. Like he can care less if he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I think,
I'm sure he'd be.
Jon Lester does. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I'm sure Burley would be like. I'm sure Burley would be like honored. He'd show up, but like even when they retired, now that I'm thinking about it, because our friend Brewhand Luke brought it up, his number is retired. He doesn't have a statue, but I do remember the ceremony that they had at Comiskey U.S. Guaranteed Cellular
Points,
Field.
Right.
That Burley showed up and he was just kind of like, thanks. Like he was just like, I had to leave my house for this.
Like the only thing, Mark Burley, the one thing I instantly imagine is him just sitting watching a Cardinals game, drinking Busch. I think he was drinking Busch.
Yeah.
Like that's what I picture Mark Burley just doing, because he's like, I don't care about anything else.
Well, that's another reason why he's a GOAT.
Lester's reputation too, man. We all forget as Cub fans that Jon Lester was one of the dudes that were busted drinking beer and eating fried chicken in the clubhouse with Josh Beckett and John Lackey, playing video games on days they weren't supposed to pitch, which I have no problem with, by the way.
Who gives a shit if they're not pitching?
You're on an off day. Those guys, most of your golf, you're lucky you even came to the clubhouse. But that was where that's when we started.
Don't hide that, although. Don't hide that. Leave that on. Leave that on.
Prestigious Hall of Fame that Lester and Burley can join.
Yep, they'll be with their peers.
Although he did get cold take the other day.
Oh yeah, he did.
That was nice.
You can't say the Bears are going to win a Super Bowl. That's the dumbest tweet ever. You literally can't tweet it until there's like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the actual Super Bowl. The Bears
not even something can go wrong though.
Right. I mean, even at that point. And yeah, look at that, Mailman Jack. Dylan Cease is on a Hall of Fame. Maybe Chicago Sports. He's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
The next Chicago Sports Hall of Fame inductee.
Yep. So with baseball being on strike, there's really not much going on. So, I mean, we're just going to keep talking here. But if you guys want to talk about anything, and literally anything.
Oh no, don't do that. Literally, I'm not kidding you. On the Tainted Glove in the chat on Monday night, some dude rolled in talking about how someone stole his foreskin. There was about 5 messages. If you go back and watch it, it was. Who
was it? Like Gaylord Fox?
I have no idea. We were like,
foreskin stolen.
I mean,
Yumper's response was the best. He's like, "Wait, what?" I thought it was like someone's friend trying to be funny, but it's not. So, not all questions can be answered.
I mean, you can talk about it. My response is going to be like, "That sounds like a very serious you problem, and you might want to go talk to a doctor, and we'll move on." But yeah, I watched a little bit of the show on Monday. It was mostly Aloha bitching about the Bears.
Oh, he's so mad.
But I said something in the comments that I don't know if you guys saw it or you just perused over it. No, I just said because he said the Bears haven't had a good coach since Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka wasn't a good coach. Mike Ditka's ego.
Disrespect to Levy Smith. Levy Smith, for as much shit as he got, Levy Smith was a good coach.
Yeah, he left with a winning record. Mike Ditka's ego stopped them from winning multiple championships in the 80s. You bury me in that statement because I will die. No one's going to talk me off that. Because if he wasn't such a dick, Buddy Ryan would have stayed. They would have won way more championships. I mean, the guy fucking.
Well. Both were dicks. Let's be honest.
Well, that's true. That's true. But sometimes if you're the head dick, like Ditka was, this is a lot of dick talk. You have to,
especially with Mike Ditka.
You have to realize that you have one of the greatest D coordinators of all time, and you kind of have to just chill out. And yeah, I mean, injuries are going to be a problem with every team. Jim McMahon's shoulder was also a big problem, but you still have fucking Walter Payton in the greatest defense of all time. You could figure it out. And yeah,
it's gonna, at least they're. Maybe we'll hit the lottery this time. I guess.
I think I found a way that we can relate recent Bears trash to Cubs and compare. Who does Matt Nagy remind you of as a Cubs or White Sox manager?
Oh, I was
now or in the
thinking
past.
today.
Like
Yeah,
just like at any time, like who does Matt Nagy remind you of as?
See, I hated Jim Essien when I was in high school, but it wasn't really his fault. He was a AAA manager that got a manager job at the upper levels. I love Don Zimmer and I love Jim Fry. So like, I really don't, those two guys wouldn't fall in it for me. And then what was Essien after
Don't ask me because this is a horror. I can only remember from like the early 2000s.
I forget who came after Jim.
I remember like Don Baylor.
I would say
Baylor came in like mid to late 90s.
For the White Sox, I would say either. Well, Robin Ventura left with a losing record. But
Jim Lester. Oh my God!
I absolutely adored Robin Ventura as a player on the White Sox. Still do. He's one of my favorites, but he was just not it.
I'm afraid that if Leslie Frazier could be.
I like Gene Lamont. Gene Lamont's a good one. Gene Lamont. I was either going to say Gene Lamont or Jerry Manuel.
Bruce Kim made me mad.
Wasn't Bruce Kim just like only an interim though?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
He was manager for a second. Who this guy? No. See, I could actually look at least through the list of like managers, and again, me being an old man, it's been like it feels like a couple quarter century since could die like half a century. But you got Jim Fry for me. Charlie Fox, Leo, those they were fine. I mean, I was too young at that point to really know. Vukovic was fine. Gene Michael was okay. Lucchese, Don Zimmer, Joe Altobelli, Jim Essien, Jim Lefebvre was awesome for a second. Tom Trebelhorn. Jim Riggleman is awesome. I love Jim Riggleman. Don Baylor was awesome too. He was a big old barrel of love. Renee Latchman, Bruce Kim, Dusty Baker was fine. Lou Piniella was badass, hungover most of the time. Mike Quaddy was AAA manager. Dale Swain was a AAA manager. Ricky, I loved Ricky. I was sad to see him get, kind of T-boned by the Cubs for Madden, but he keeps getting T-boned by the team so that they hire somebody else. But David Ross is probably the most frustrating, and that's only because there's like a familiarity. So.
See, I think in terms of because think about when Nagy came, it's like, oh, he's coming from the Chiefs. He's gonna make Trubisky great. The offense, the Bears finally have an offensive genius or whatever. It's like the expectations of that, and just how they fell just terribly flat.
Dude, that offense this year was absolutely fucking brutal.
So in terms of just winning expectations, Lou Piniella was brought in, and yes, he brought a last place team in 2006 to they won the division 2007, 2008.
I see what you're getting at, though.
But then some of his decisions, and then his explanations for the decisions, and then just how he at the end he kind of just gave up. It was so frustrating because the one thing that I always remember was 2007 NLDS against the Diamondbacks. I think it was game one. Game one, I think he has Zambrano on the mound, and Zambrano's pinching a gem. I think he only gave up one run or something. It's the sixth inning. He pinch hits for him. Cubs end up losing the game. Bullpen gives up a couple runs later on, and afterward they're asking why did you pull Zambrano in the sixth? He's like, oh well, I wanted to keep him fresh in case of a game four. Guess what happened, guys? There was no game four. Cubs got fucking swept. You just took out your best fucking pitcher.
Sure. Both of those years, too. Both of those years. I think the Dodgers swept them out both times. Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, right? Didn't the Diamondbacks do it once? Yeah, that was brutal. I'm still not 100% sold that Lou Piniella wasn't fucking hungover or currently drunk in the dugout. He had the best. I tore one on. I tied one on last night, stubble, of any manager in Cubs history. He looked like he was fucking hungover every day. It was awesome. And he would shave and be like, oh, he must have drank water last night.
So I think you can answer this question better than I could. Obviously I'm not a Sox fan, but in terms of the comparison between Nagy and Robin Ventura,
yeah.
At the end of it though, because Robin Ventura was he's a beloved, White Sox great. Everybody I feel Sox fans kind of felt bad for him. Who feels bad for Matt Nagy right now?
Well, nobody does. I don't think anybody felt bad for Ventura. The thing that people were most it's now when you talk about Robin Ventura as a White Sox fan, you have to immediately say I'm talking about Ventura as a player, not as a manager. You have to announce that, even though you could be talking to I could be talking to you two, or I could be talking to Beeflo for something. You still have to be no, keep in mind I'm talking about my love for Ventura as a player, because you can't just say you love Robin Ventura anymore. You have to say as a player, because nobody liked him as a manager. But he was the way that I see a lot of Nagy, because Nagy had that whole like BU and like he was a great leader of men and all that other bullshit they spewed. But like Ventura was really like kind of laid back like that as well. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just the same vibe. Younger dude, like getting his first rip at a head coaching gig, and it was just like it's just the same vibe. But can we talk about good teams?
Yes. Bulls are back, baby.
I can't tell you how happy it was. I am but I do want to put this out there. This 9 p.m. Central start time between a fucking East Coast team and
I couldn't believe it.
Is so they push it back for a fucking Mavericks Knicks game that's 90 to 76 with 5 minutes left in the fourth. Like this game is fucking straight cheeks, and they won't. This is a huge game. The Nets are bringing everyone back too. Like everyone's playing in this game.
You know, I saw that. I'm like, wait, 9 p.m. And then I saw, I'm like, oh wait, they're playing the Nets, and I'm like, oh wait, they're starting at 10 p.m. What the hell is this?
This is ESPN.
It's perfect. It's 7 p.m.
Right? Wow. Kevin's like, oh, it's great. Prime time slot.
What happened? 100% what happened was ESPN are like, the Bulls are gonna fucking be cheeks this year because everyone said DeRozan is the worst fucking free agent pickup. Lonzo Ball like it's not gonna work, blah blah blah. And now this is a game between first and second place in the fucking East, and ESPN was like, oh shit, we want this on Wednesday night basketball, but we already paid for this game, so they're like, all right, we're playing this bitch at 9 o'clock. Here we go.
I hate how the NBA has shaped my just like feelings towards like a season. Because like, I mean, we've been through it before as Bulls fans, like with the D Rose Bulls versus the LeBron Cavs, the LeBron Heat. You can fucking be dominant all year long, and it doesn't matter if the best players on the court aren't on your team. And again, I hate it because I want to enjoy this Bull season more because it's been for fucking ever. They've been like the laughing stock. Think about like some of those shitty organizations in the NBA, like the Knicks, like the fucking like Pistons, who were like down bad for a few years. Like the Kings haven't won anything forever. The Magic have been awful. The Bulls were like the laughing stock of the league for like the last 2-3 seasons.
They were like an afterthought. No one gave a shit.
Yeah, and then before that, like the entire city of Chicago hated like everything that was the Bulls and like ownership and the front office. The front office. So like it is great that they're finally not just relevant, that they're like the best team in the East, one of the best teams in basketball. The player that everyone thought was like, this isn't going to work out, is a serious MVP candidate in DeMar DeRozan. Zach LaVine's still another good year. Lonzo Ball getting it done at point. Just everything. The only thing that sucked is Patrick Williams getting hurt. But even with that, like they haven't skipped a beat. So I want to enjoy it more, and I hate myself that I can't, because in the back of my mind I always say, well, is it going to matter like if they can't beat the Nets in the postseason?
I don't know. The Nets are kind of a fucking train wreck right now, but when they get their big three playing all together on all systems firing, that's going to be a tough team to beat. But who knows with these fucking mandates and all this shit, how many games Kyrie's going to be able to play, where he's going to play. Like,
there's always injuries. I mean, right, and it's like he has like the most,
and you got to keep in mind too, the Nets are definitely older than the Bulls.
Yeah, like
top to bottom. And I mean, the Bulls have a couple aces up their sleeves, like homie from U of I,
Ayo. What a pick!
Ayo's balling. Now the word on the streets is that they're trying to deal Kobe White to get like another like a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
To run out there, because basically Ayo's made Kobe tradable, and they're trying to sell high a little bit. But like, the best part about this Bulls run, though, the thing that makes it different for me is that you can bet legally in Chicago now, and you could do like all these crazy same game parlays and all this other crazy shit, and like they're making me money.
Now, I haven't done it a lot because I don't want to be like the jinx, just because like they cover and win every game. But like the times I've bet on the Bulls, they've covered every single time. Undefeated betting on the Bulls this season. They've covered every single
ridiculous. Like against the Pistons, I opened on my phone yesterday. I saw they had it was like a 13.5 spread. I'm like, yo, I usually don't go for that big of spreads. You know what I mean? all right, tell you what, I'll do the 8 point at half. That even seemed big. And then I was like, all right. And then I put in a bet for my big new betting thing for NBA now is player combined.
Okay.
Combine their points, rebounds, and assists, and they
Oh,
put
nice.
on that. Vooch was at like 32. He ended up finishing the game at like 34 or 36 with all his stats combined. So that hit. Bulls team total over hit. Like if you just get creative with the Bulls right now, they're the favorites tonight against the Nets. It's in Chicago, but I mean, the Bulls are fucking for real, dude. And I'm just watching our viewer count go down because we're talking about basketball. But I don't even what do you guys want? I mean, the billionaires are still fighting the millionaires. Like, what do you guys want? I don't know.
So, what was it that they're supposed to do a proposal tomorrow? I think.
Yeah, they're supposed to meet like for the first time since December.
Cool.
Tomorrow.
Do you think if I showed some skin, people would come back? Like if I just took this down, just
it actually just went out.
There you go, dude.
But
I'm getting the taps. Be right back.
It just sucks, dude. I sit here and play fucking MLB The Show every day just to get like a baseball fix. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, other than free agency and whatnot, there's really nothing at this point other than looking at workout videos anyway at this point. So you still got the workout.
Yeah.
They're still posting those.
Yeah. Tim Anderson just posted one and
with LaRusse yesterday.
Yeah, LaRusse's.
I gotta play that real quick because that shit's.
Yeah, LaRusse's perving on kids. There's
it's Montgomery, right? The guy that I really wanted.
Closely Montgomery.
Yeah, and then there's we're falling into this guy looks like he's in the best shape of his life, and like Tim Anderson's posting videos of him just literally taking BP. Like, I never left the lab. It's like, you're doing your job, dude. Like, I get it. It's cool. You don't see me.
I saw a Jake Berger video.
Berger's actually doing some cool shit. He's starting a foundation that works with mental health facilities and shit like that. Like, Jake Berger's just a dope person. I dig him as a human. Like, he's cool, man. Gavin Sheets got engaged. Like,
there you go.
This is what's happening on social.
I think he was told. He's like, hey, you got a guaranteed starting job in right field. No.
I hope not. I mean,
here it is.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
Let's give this. We'll have to share screen.
While he's sharing this and shit, if you're watching this or you have anything you want to talk about, just throw it in the comment section right now. I mean, otherwise we can just wrap this up soon so I can watch the Bulls game. That was your cue, Kevin.
I know. I just gotta hit okay.
Our
hit okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
Is this even legal? Can he even be here? That was my question too.
Yeah, I mean, he's not part of the.
Montgomery's not in the union.
Yeah, he's.
Whoop! Oh my god!
Hold on, what?
I had not seen the whole thing before.
Gosh, the swing is so good, and it's a hello. I mean, he's just there. He's like, "Yo," and that's where he just pops out.
Oh my god!
And he gives a smile too. Like he gives like the, coming in hot.
He's like, "Oh, is that one of those fancy camera phones?"
That's gonna be an amazing meme. This entire 2020.
There it is.
And that kind of looks like in this pausing situation, that bat looks like it's. Whoa, Tony.
That's actually hilarious. But we do have a question. Who's hotter, Gavin Sheets' wife or Drake LaRoche? By the way, Drake LaRoche got engaged or married. Word is Adam Engel was the flower girl. I'm going to say Gavin Sheets, just out of principle.
Wait.
I'm not going to lie, by the way, guys. We're up to double digits again just because I started. I need to.
I don't know, boy. It's the South, dude. Who gave us an angry face?
Look at that, cyst. Wait, what?
Jeffrey Bielski.
He's angry, huh?
I don't know. He's angry about something.
An angry little elf. Or is he just that guy that hits angry on everything on his timeline because it's triple his timeline? I don't know.
Jeffrey, you got something you want to talk about, bud?
Jeff, let's talk.
Yeah, Drake LaRoche got married. I mean,
that's how by the way, that is how slow like the news cycle has been, because this was a top story for NBC Sports Chicago a week ago.
Yeah.
Drake LaRoche is married after 5 years. 5 years after sex controversy.
And all the wedding stuff too is good, but you also you have Cubs players are all doing power cleans.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Doing, like,
Kevin, I wanted to ask you about that. Are you at all worried that these guys are going to fuck up their back or something?
That's actually one of the better exercises. I'm not a big on the flip.
Okay.
That stuff's bad for the wrist, but no, the cleans are great. Those are
All right, so here's Drake LaRoche's wife.
She was a great power cleaner and power bottom.
And then let's look at who is B-Flip trying to compare here?
Drake LaRoche.
Oh, Gavin Sheets' wife. Okay.
Yeah.
Evan.
And then if someone can translate what that means.
You said ask anything, so he said vomit.
Yep. Who ordered their spring tickets?
Hey, Dave.
Their spring training tickets. I wish, dude.
I mean, I saw the Cubs put out the tweet the other day, like this, they're gonna go on season soon, and people are like, "There's gonna be a season."
Yeah, the Brewers put out their bobblehead schedule. It just says like MLB player, TBD player, MLB player, because they can't use players' names.
Silhouette.
Yeah.
Bobblehead silhouette. That's going to be the new player of the year.
David, we already talked a little bit about the Bears. I mean, I'm already sick of this coach search shit. Like,
who do you want? Who's your choice?
Okay. Actually, I wanted to ask both of you or anyone.
I like homeboy from the Dolphins.
So, like, I do too, but Florida. I want to ask,
Florida, yeah.
Is this a normal football thing? Is this just a Bears thing?
To hire the coach before the GM?
Yes.
It's weird as fuck to me.
Like,
it just tells me that the head coach, whoever they are going to be answering to ownership as opposed to a general manager who may be now just in charge of personnel only, which maybe the pace failure is what led to this, or the family's just they're playing fantasy football this year because they're fans, as they said in their press conference. And
yeah, I mean,
ooh boy,
I just I don't get it.
His name in New York.
I've had people explain it to me, like why they think it, and it still just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's like Kevin, like the whole, because I think that I did see like whoever they're going to be reporting straight to the McCaskies and not Ted Phillips anymore or whatever. But then, like, in the same press conference, McCaskey's like, well, I don't know anything about football. So then, like, why would the people in charge of football be reporting to you if you don't know anything about football?
But
hey, say what you want about Tom Ricketts, and I know I want to say Yumper made this point the other night too on the Tainted Gloves, is that at least Tom Ricketts knew he doesn't know shit. So he brought in the best person in the game, maybe, in the modern baseball,
right,
to go ahead and do the thinking for him. And the Bears did not do that. The Bears don't have the family doesn't have the know-how, I guess, to just hand the keys to somebody that's actually like qualified.
The thing is, like, why can't the Bears just look around the city and be like, the Cubs went out and got Theo, won a World Series. The Bulls fucking cleaned house. Best team in the East. Like, they did step one right by firing Pace and Nagy.
I mean, you can go back further, and like obviously there's some really shitty things that ended up happening. But the Blackhawks,
right?
Like they started brand new, hired a guy who knew how to operate something.
Their hand got forced on that one, but yeah.
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 Well, just a little bit.
The Grim Reaper.
Virginia's getting up there in age.
But the other name that keeps coming up, and I'm curious because I know how I think about this, but what you guys think. And actually, in front of the show here, David, we appreciate you tuning in as much as you do. I don't want Harbaugh.
No, me neither.
It doesn't move the needle for me at all. Like, he was good in San Francisco, but like, I know he got to that one Super Bowl, but it's just
my feeling. I don't know why they've changed, but like, if you would have told me like Harbaugh, like back when they fucking hired Trustman or whatever, like that era, I would have been all for it. But I don't know. It's just I don't want any of that college stink. It'd have to be a pro team.
It'd have to be a package deal with Vic Fangio.
Then I'd be in.
That those two together is what made San Francisco, and owned the Packers owned Aaron Rodgers. That combo right there made the Packers look like dog knee do.
My thing that
is appealing to me.
That is appealing to me. I will agree with you there. My thing about Harbaugh, though, is like I feel like Harbaugh is a college coach. And the reason I say that is he likes going and sitting on people's living room couches and recruiting them. Like, didn't he sleep in Homeboy's treehouse one night or something to get a stud punter or something?
There's a whole bunch of stories.
Like, he loves that shit. And it's a lot different than sitting in a room with a bunch of millionaires who are at the peak of their performance and trying to sell them on that rah-rah shit. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe he's tired of it. Maybe all of that fun, he burned himself out a little bit doing all of that. And now he's like, hey, you know what? You know what's really nice is an NFL career where you can go out there and you don't have to recruit and I can go back to the corporate kind of where I know my hours. Yep. Yeah. And just to not have to worry about that anymore. And I honestly, here's me. I think, and I know that he's renegotiating with Michigan right now, but I think at the report of that, here's my prediction. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be at a Las Vegas Raider head coach because he's the one guy. I mean, again, if he gets paid what John Gruden got paid, that's $10 million a year. That's $6 million more than he makes at Michigan, and the Raiders will pay that. Mark Davis will pay that. He wants to make giant splashes. He's not a guy that's going to hire just generally. It's not his MO, at least, to make a quiet hire. He's going to take someone that's going to make a splash. And the money that he gave to John Gruden, that right there, there's a connection with Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh is leveraging right now with Mark Davis specifically. Every time you hear, I think the Bears are being used as leverage. As well but I think in the end it's all about the Raiders for that guy. So for that one, I think that I would be okay with it. I would love it, but it's not. Yeah. I don't think the Bears will not pay what will be offered from the Raiders if the Raiders want Jim Harbaugh. They can't match or won't.
And to Fam Guy here at the very beginning of the show, we compare the two. They're a lot closer than you think, bud. And I appreciate this, but. I'm gonna need a couple sources on this one, but
unconfirmed at this moment.
The other name that's going around that I understand why people are nervous because he's never been a head coach before, but he's just one of those guys that he's always been. I mean, this dude is just football to me. Byron Leftwich, and the reason why I like Byron Leftwich is I will never forget the game. When he was quarterbacking for Marshall, his fucking lineman carried him from play to play, and he got the fucking job done. But he was the OC in Tampa. He was, dude's got the chops, man. And I think he'd be a younger guy. He could connect to these younger players now. I think what's his face? Ed Reed, one of my favorite players of all time, tweeted out, "Can we please stop recycling bad coaching?"
Yep.
And I've never agreed with the tweet more in my life because that's one of the things that drives me nuts about professional sports. Oh, you sucked on this team. We'll give you a chance here. And it's like, fuck, dude. Why do you think, I don't know. It just, it bothers me so much. I definitely think Leftwich will realistically end up with the Jaguars, but
which
makes sense. Yeah. But I think
with that being said, I think you said the name earlier, so. I think it's Brian Flores. What he did with the Dolphins.
It's got to be Brian Flores. I think Fields will be the best he'll be a top 10 quarterback in the league under Brian Flores. I think it's
Dable too. I think Dable too up in Buffalo would be okay with. I am more okay with a bunch of choices. There are just ones that I'm not okay with. I think that's almost the way you got to narrow this down to enjoy it. Is who don't you want? Who
Leslie
would you
Frazier out? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Frazier out. I don't want the guy from Green Bay because let's just be honest. You don't know what anybody in Green Bay can do because they have Aaron Rodgers there carrying all of the water.
Why are they interviewing literally the entire Buffalo Bills staff?
Because of polling.
You can also learn. You can learn a lot of things too, though. You pull some knowledge about some systems. That's a system that's very similar to what the Bears should run. I think Buffalo and the Bears have a very similar. Look, they want to play good defense, and you want to run the football and the. Whatever, blah blah blah. I think the Bears and the Bills are as close, almost tied to the hip in a sense, because they have the very similar style of quarterback too.
If we can get Fields to be playing like Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did you see Josh Allen? I know he was the best fantasy quarterback this year, but it was by almost 100 points, dude. Josh Allen was a fucking unit this year.
Well, he had games where he had 100. he was better than Lamar Jackson running the ball. Yeah,
right. Well, that's the thing people sleep on. Josh Allen's got fucking wheels.
Yeah,
He's getting better decision making every season. Like that last game against who were they playing? He was running a 2-minute drill, and some of the decisions he made during that 2-minute drill, I was just like, this dude grew the fuck up.
The Jets, I think.
Yeah, but was it Jets? Yeah, it was Jets. But like some of the decisions he was making, I was just like, God damn! All right, Josh Allen, like good for you, bud. Go on, little rock star. Go get it, bud.
What do you think about Ryan Day from Ohio State being something that's been talked about?
Like as an OC or like head coach?
I mean, they're saying head coach, which to me
again,
like gamble. Like I don't want to get paid.
I don't like the college head coach to NFL. No. I'll pass on that.
David, to answer your question, who I think could beat the Packers in the playoffs and in the NFC, Jim Harbaugh and Vic Fangio. They've proven that they do it. They can. They're the only
Tom Brady.
I think he's talking about this year.
Tom Brady.
Oh, you're talking about in the actual playoffs. I thought you were just talking
the
about
actual playoffs.
Oh, I think Brady's going to get him. I think the Rams are going to sting somebody too. I think so. It could be the Rams. I think that Matt Stafford. I want it for Matt Stafford. Let's be honest. I want it for Matt Stafford.
I wanted it for Matt Stafford too until he played like shit a couple times that I bet on the Rams. Now I don't care. I remember that Sunday night game against the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, speaking of, guys, let's just wrap this up. Like, just like our plays for the weekend.
Let me pull up the card.
Let's pull up the card. A lot of good games, I think. I feel like there's a lot of good
these
matchups.
playoffs are going to be good. I mean, I
think Raiders Bengals is going to be a good one just because of the way that Raiders game went Sunday night with the Chargers.
Here we go. We'll start with the first one. We got the Bengals -5.5 playing the Raiders in Cincy.
Take Raiders.
I think I like Raiders points and then over.
Yep. Raiders point.
The over/under is at 49. I'm probably gonna. I'm definitely with you guys. I'm shooting with the over. I don't even know if I touch that just because both those teams have been so wildly inconsistent this year. I think the Bengals are the better team.
Yeah,
but
hard to beat a team a second time, or I guess the saying is a third time for division. But
right,
Bengals
How about this? The Bears beat both the Bengals and the Raiders this year.
Yep.
That's why this season has been one of the most, because I look at those games, it's like what, or like week one when did like the Panthers the Saints murdered the Packers like 33 to whatever it was like
something like that. I mean, it's next one we got the Patriots go to the Buffalo. We got the Bills -4.5 and the over/under at 44. Seems low.
It's gonna be ugly. What's the weather like?
Yeah, weather maybe.
The weather
I'm guessing cold in Buffalo.
I mean that Monday night game where the wind was blowing so hard and they basically what did the Patriots throw 4 times the whole game?
Yeah.
Safe bet. Hold on, I'm pulling up Buffalo's weather here.
I think I still like the Bills though, because Josh Allen he went like the second game. He's like, "Fuck you! I'm still gonna beat you."
It's gonna be
I think
cloudy with a high of 10 degrees.
Holy shit!
No inclement weather.
Wind, yeah, how's the wind though? The wind.
Let me see what that wind looks like.
Wind and rain. It's clear. That's good.
Saturday.
The Bills have been running the ball more lately though. Finally.
It's not showing windy. It's snowing there today and tomorrow, but it's just gonna be cold as fuck.
I go with Bills.
I still like the Bills.
Yeah, I like the Bills. It's tough to go against Belichick in the playoffs, but
well, God forbid something happened to Jared Allen, it'll be Mitch Trubisky season against the Bills.
Now we got the Eagles going to Tampa Bay against Tommy and the boys. We got a spread of 8.5, Bucks -8.5 with an over/under of 45 and a hook. I think I like the over in that game.
I like the over in that one now.
I like the over, but I like the Eagles with the points.
I don't like giving up more than a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll take 7. I think 7. I think because they're going to get some charity points at the end. They got a good quarterback. Oh wait, well I don't know. His ankle's bum right now though.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I would probably stay away from that one.
Do you say 45.5?
Yep. I love this, Maddie.
I'll take that.
Trubisky getting a ring this year, baby.
Oh my god.
That's true.
Next one, this game I think is going to be really good. But the Cowboys fucking are the most frustrating team in the world to fucking bet. But you got the Niners going into Big D Cowboys are -3. The over-under on that one's 50 and a hook.
Niners money line.
Man, because I think the Cowboys were
See, that's the thing.
the
Cowboys
covered almost every game.
Yeah, and the Cowboys show up some weeks and they look like they're the best team in football, and then other weeks they'll come up and they look like absolute
I think it was
dog-ass.
up until the Denver game. They were like 10-0 against the spread.
They're doing it really without a run game. Zeke has not been that great this year.
And they've lost what's his name too. They're number 3.
Oh, Michael Gallup.
Gallup's out now. He's done.
But then what's his face? Davis, or he had like a huge game against the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, the Eagles were sitting guys, but
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm riding the boys there.
That is one of those games where Kevin,
Niners,
I think I'm going to talk myself into Niners money line. Mm-hmm. But yet again, Jimmy Garoppolo.
No. I'll say this. Deebo Samuel, the way that they've been using Deebo Samuel, he might be the most electric player in the league right now.
Right.
Because he's throwing touchdowns. He's getting 10 carries a game, rushing touchdowns. He's catching touchdowns. And you got Kittle over the middle. And you've got, what's his name on the outside? Ayuk on the outside. You've got, and so you've got a very good bunch of weapons that they've been using really well and a solid defense. I think that Deebo, torches the Cowboys. I think he torches the Cowboys specifically. But
counterpoint, Dallas's defense is fucking
though.
sick.
Yeah,
they've been really good. But that's why what Deebo does, it doesn't matter. So he did the same thing against the Rams.
Rams are frauds though. Who are the Rams playing?
Rams. Well, we'll get to that game. The next game is Steelers playing the Chefs. Chefs are -12.5 with an over/under of 46.5. And by the way, I'm taking the under in that Cowboys game. I think Dallas's defense just shuts them the fuck down.
Yeah, that one's tough. I want to go Niners, but no.
But Steelers Chiefs, it's very tough for me to give up 12.5 points.
That's a lot of
game.
I'd take a couple extra points if it was like -140.
I'd almost buy it up to 14.
You know what, guys? Let's not worry about the whole game. Give me Chiefs first half. Like it'll be like -7.5, -8.
That's usually my go-to on big spreads.
Good.
Because I like the first half play. But in this something like this, I might just buy 2 points, get Steelers 14 and a hook. I don't think they're gonna lose by 2 touchdowns, but Steelers kind of suck. Their defense is pretty good. Big Ben is like on his
he gets down early, he's toast because he cannot. He's so immobile that they cannot be allowed to tee off on them.
And I firmly believe Patrick Mahomes finds it like a playoff gear. And
Tyreek Hill's banged up.
Because I almost think he has the same train of thought that you do, Aldo, where he's just like, these regular season games are fucking pointless. We're going to make the playoffs. I'm going to go at like 75% all year, and then when the playoffs
it's a dangerous game to play, but guys like that can do it.
Yes. And then the last game, the Monday night game, which sucks that there's a Monday night game on Wild Card Weekend, but here we are, is Cardinals go into La La Land to play the Rams. We got Rams. Cardinals are another very frustrating bet.
No, both teams are frauds.
Yeah, that's true. But it's Rams -4.5. Over-unders at 49 and a hook.
Is your boy J.J. Watt coming back? Is he playing?
I don't know how he's my boy, but yes, he's playing. He's playing.
I hate this game because I hate both teams.
I think I would take the Rams getting, or the Cardinals getting 4.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Rams.
Yeah, the Cardinals getting points. Let's go.
Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury.
Ooh, the Bulls are wearing them city jerseys, the red ones, and we got opening tip right now.
I'll go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Rams, even though I don't like it that much.
I think I'm gonna take the.
I think Rams win by a field goal.
So the Cardinals getting 4.5.
Yeah, that would be. I say that you get a nice game winner from Gay.
Yeah. So, well, that was a weird show, but it was a show. So,
Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.
Next year we'll be having a draft.
The Bulls game has gotten off to a very sloppy start, and well, If you guys think of any questions or anything you guys want to talk about on the show along the way, right now we're kind of doing every other week just because of this. So unless something crazy happens, hopefully something like the strike's over happens, and we'd be more than happy to do a show then. But like until then, if you guys think anything, you could always DM any one of us individually or DM the show at Pinwheels and Ivy Pod. Yeah, we're easy to find, guys. But for Fids and Aldo, I'm Zoe. Everybody stay up, stay positive. Warmer weather's coming for us Chicagoans, and we'll talk to you guys soon.